I am going to move on now to our next presenter. Thank you so much, Josh. That was wonderful. Let's give Josh a round of applause. And to make sure, I'd like to move on now to our next presenters. And our next presenters are going to be Gregg and Russ and Sarah. So as technology lead at Foresight, Gregg Sonbuchnher creates web-based products to enhance individual and organizational problem-solving capability. When traveling, Gregg's preferred luggage is a backpack. As facilitation lead at Foresight, Russ Schoen mentors Foresight facilitators to help them build creativity, collaboration, and innovation into their practices. When not working, he is kept busy with his love for his 2 toddlers and improv. And Sarah Thurber is managing partner at Foresight and co-author of Creativity Unbound, the battered dog-eared copy of which is on my bookshelf, accessed regularly, and The Secret of the Highly Creative Thinker. She works with researchers, technologists, and facilitators like Gerard, Gregg, and Russ to publish the Foresight Thinking Profile. Their presentation is called The Challenge Navigator, an online problem-solving platform. So let's turn things over to Gregg, Russ, and Sarah.
Well, hello and welcome everybody to our presentation on the Challenge Navigator Online. Sorry about the orange looking presentation. I'm in an Airbnb that somehow loved the color peach, I guess. So struggling a little bit with that, but Foresight has always had a way to extend the learning of that our assessment helps start, in that we created a prescribed way to work through a problem called the Innovation Station. And the Innovation Station was always in a print form, and it was a way for people who had just learned about creative problem solving to be able to walk through a problem from beginning to end and not have to make a bunch of decisions about maybe how they were going to, which tools they were going to use in which phase or anything else. It was a way to just get prescribed all the way through and hopefully get to a much better solution than they normally would have come up with. And so at Foresight, we've been working to get that version of prescribed problem solving into an online version where people could go online and fill it out and then eventually work with each other to get that done. And the new name for the Innovation Station is now the Challenge Navigator, and it's for both the print version and the online version. And Sarah and Russ are going to take us through a walkthrough of the new online version.
Thanks so much, Gregg. In a moment, Sarah's going to share her screen. And really, this Challenge Navigator is a walk through the creative problem-solving process using the Foresight framework as sort of the introductory model for creative problem solving. So we talk about clarifying, ideating, developing, and implementing. And what we're going to do in this demo is walk you through, kind of clarify, ideate, and then we'll show you develop and implement. And building on Josh's presentation, we'll also throw it back to Gregg towards the end to talk about how we are going to be incorporating AI into helping kind of generate some options. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask Sarah to go ahead to our clarify, and we are going to give you a overall goal that we're going to demo on. And the purpose here is to really help you focus on the process and see how the Challenge Navigator works. And in terms of a use case, one of the things I love doing is using the Challenge Navigator to reinforce training. So after a training session, you've worked with a group, you've either taught them tools and process or you've facilitated them through, you can use this. All right. So Sarah, I have it up as well, if that's useful.
I got it on its way. It's just logged me out.
I love it. So
it's already.
No, and that's great. And one of the things you'll see is if you use the Challenge Navigator, if you don't use it for a while, it will log you out for security reasons. So it will make you log back in to make sure that those security protocols are in place. All right.
All right, here we go. And we're up.
And this is going to be an interactive demo. So we're using a goal, and Sarah's going to act as the client, and at various points, we're going to ask you all to act as the resource group. members. That is, we're going to ask you to help us generate some more options. So the overall goal that we're working on to demo is, it would be great if we could celebrate Aunt Edna's birthday. So we are giving you the goal in this scenario as part of the demo. And then we just did a little bit of diverging on data. And I may ask Sarah to show that. So in terms of some data, Aunt Edna's turning 75. Her birthday's in July. She hates cake. Her kids live on 3 continents. She's a huge fan of the Rolling Stones. She is a large Circle of Gin Rummy fan. She likes to travel. No grandkids. She hates her new haircut. She really shouldn't be driving. And she wants her 3 cats to come to the party. So that was our diverge list. And I asked Sarah to go ahead and converge. And so on the challenge navigator, you'll see there's a diverge phase and a converge. She'll click converge and select the data that she thinks is most important. All right. And when she's done with data, or you're done with data, you'll close and go to the next step. And the next step in Clarify is really about phrasing challenges as open-ended questions, really trying to pinpoint what's the challenge we're trying to solve. Within creative problem solving, we use question starters, and some of them may look familiar to you: how might, how to, and what ways might, and what might be all the. So I'm going to ask Sarah to share with us just one challenge that starts with one of those question starters, and then I'm going to open it up to the group. We want to get a couple of challenges that, based on the goal and the data you heard, might be a challenge that we might want to consider. Sarah, can you share with us a challenge that comes to mind for you?
How might we get everybody to come in person?
Great. And so Sarah will jot that down. Now, if you've got a challenge, go ahead and either raise your hand or just take yourself off mute and call it out. I'd love to hear some voices. What other challenges would we need to solve to make sure Aunt Edna has an amazing birthday? And if you're feeling shy, you could drop it into chat.
I would
How
say,
might we celebrate with something sweet that isn't cake?
Great. Thanks so much, Judy. Others?
If the cats are going to be there, is there going to be a litter box? Sorry.
All right. So, and I'm going to turn, that's all right. And we're going to just reinforce the how to or how might. So how might we ensure that there's a place for the cats to do their business? If I am getting the gist there. We've got a new
Yes.
message in the chat. How about 2 or 3 more? How might
In the
we celebrate
chat?
without her knowing in advance?
Knowing in
Is
advance?
Kai?
How might we make sure that everyone brings something?
Great. All right. And how about one more, just to illustrate? We're just illustrating divergence right now.
how might we involve the Rolling Stones?
Fabulous. So, and normally we would push you for at least 10 or 15 or even 20 challenge statements. For purpose of today, I'm going to ask Sarah as the client to go ahead, save all of her divergence, click converge. And for purposes of today, Sarah, I'm wondering which of those challenges rises to the top. Are you most interested in getting some new thinking, some new ideas?
Hey, actually, she's a huge fan of the Rolling Stones. And I think if we had anything like to focus on, I think how might we involve the Rolling Stones would be the challenge I'd pick, because I think that's going to make it really a standout birthday for her.
I love it. So Sarah's going to go ahead and select that. She's going to save and go to the next step. And you'll see, if you have your screen big enough, that challenge comes right into the ideate phase. Okay. Rock on, Aunt Edna. We've got some big Rolling Stones fans. So when we are ideating, just as a reminder, as we do in all these steps, we diverge first, where we stretch for options, and then we converge. And so we're going to take 2 minutes. Again, you can use the chat to drop your idea in, or we'd like some verbal ideas. We want to get at least 10 ideas before we move on. So how might we involve the Rolling Stones? What ideas do you have to involve the Rolling Stones in Aunt Edna's 75th birthday? And I'm going to ask you to do defer judgment, strive for quantity, think of wild ideas, and even build on the ideas you like.
Start a social media campaign. Get them involved.
All right, and Sarah's going to type what else?
Get a video message from one of the Rolling Stones through Cameo.
These are great. What else? What?
Make it the theme for the banners, in the birthday balloons, cake, etc.
I love it. I see in the chat, hire a tribute band.
Why don't we bring some really round stones and tell her that's the low budget version? Sorry.
All right, the low budget Rolling Stones, actual stones. These are great. Couple more, just a couple more. What else could you do? What would be fun, kind of a wacky way, building on what Josh said or building on the tribute band?
Giant cardboard cutouts of the Rolling Stones.
These are great.
Everybody comes in with a Rolling Stones t-shirt to the birthday.
All right, these are great. Put her pick into a magazine cover. Card messages need to use song lyrics. These are coming from the chat. Thank you. And how about one more verbal idea? No matter how wild, unusual, what comes up for you?
Try and reach the Rolling Stones themselves.
Okay, try to get them there themselves. And someone said a Rolling Stones karaoke party. All right. Any last ideas that people are just, they want to share? Final call. All right, we've got kidnap Mick Jagger and create personalized lyrics to a Rolling Stones song for her. These are all great, really appreciate that. So again, we would do a divergence. We might incorporate more tools like forced connections or Scamper to extend the idea generation effort. For purposes of today in demoing the Challenge Navigator, we're going to go ahead and save and converge. And I'm going to ask Sarah to pick, up 3 to 5 ideas that are rising to the top that you think, if we developed, would actually deliver a pretty good solution for Aunt Edna's birthday.
I love the idea of the tribute band because her nephew is in a band that does a lot of stones. So that's a doable idea. I think that's a really good one. And that to get the giant cutouts and have everybody wear a Rolling Stones t-shirt. And I think the stretch goal would get that video message. She would just die and go to heaven if that happened. That'd be awesome.
I love it. So Sarah's going to go ahead and close and go to the next step. On the Challenge Navigator, if you want to cluster ideas, you can. If you are just selecting, a couple of ideas, you can just keep them as your top ideas, close and go to the next step, which is our develop step. And develop is really where you are taking your initial ideas and really creating, we call it a solution prototype. So this notion about what do you see yourself actually doing? So I'm going to ask Sarah just to do a quick, what I see myself doing is, really to finish off this solution prototype, and then we're going to walk you through just how the rest of the Challenge Navigator works.
Is it okay if I talk you through this instead of talk and type?
Yeah.
Okay. So looking at that list of ideas, I imagine contacting her nephew to see if he can pull his band together, and then going online and getting those giant cardboard cutouts of the Rolling Stones, making a custom t-shirt for all the party guests and sending it to them so they show up wearing the t-shirt, and finding if anybody has a friend of a friend of a friend who knows anybody who could get us that cameo appearance, because that would be amazing. And we'll have, if that works, a whole video screen so that the whole party can see it.
Wow, I want to go to Aunt Edna's birthday. That sounds amazing, right? So that's our initial solution prototype, and we're just going to show you, kind of scan through the rest of this. We would save and go on to the next step, and it will take you through the point tool, which is pluses, opportunities, issues, and new thinking, which is a tool that we use to optimize and refine solutions to really say what's working about it, how do we make it better, right? So Sarah, I see, is putting some things in there. Based on that, she'll love it. And it's doable. Great. And then she'd go to the next step. Opportunities or future benefits. If this happened, it might lead to something. What might it lead to, or what would be a spin-off? Great. So, and typically we would go for 3 or more, but it might get her kids to travel from other continents. And then, hey, this notion that no solution is perfect out of the gate. So Sarah, what's one issue you think this would need to be solved in order to really bring this solution home?
Yeah, I think her cats actually don't like rock and roll music, so we'd have to like, how might we make this work for the cats?
Right. So how do we make it work for the cats? And we might choose that as our top issue to solve. And then with point, the last thing is new thinking. So what are some new ideas to overcome that issue? So how might we work for the cats? Maybe we send
Sensitize
that
the cats for sound over the next month or two.
right.
Make
or
a
send
temporary catio.
a
Outdoor
temporary
patio.
catio. I love it.
Love it.
And so she'll save that and converge and close and go to the next step, which is the next step is then to incorporate what are the improvements now that we've gone through point that she wants to add to her overall solution. And from here, we go into our implement step. And again, for implement, we just go ahead and start. We'll ask you to consider who or what might assist you, and then what are some specific actions, no matter how short, no matter how small the tasks are, to move this idea forward. So we ask for what's the action, who can do it, by when, and if possible, reporting completion to whom. All right. And Sarah, I don't think you need to fill this in. I'd like to kind of go back, if you can go out to kind of the home page or to the top. One of the things you'll see at the top is there's a warm up. If you want to warm up, if you're using this with a couple of people, you can do a divergent warm up. You pick the topic, how might we improve a shower? Let people kind of get those divergent guidelines. There's also, you'll see download your work. So one of the things that's useful about this is you can download your Challenge Navigator, either all the options, meaning all the divergence and convergence, that's called the detailed PDF, or a summary PDF, which is just your converged list. With that, I'm looking at our time. I also want to just turn it back to Gregg, if we can, just to talk about for a minute how he and his team are beginning to integrate AI.
Thanks, Russ, for that exciting planning of a party. So we've been working on this online version, and ChatGPT obviously caught the world by storm. And so one of the things we were looking at, and we had actually intended to have multiple ways to go out to the internet and get more ideas. And ChatGPT suddenly made it even more easy. So I'll just show you one of the iterations of where we're taking that currently. So if you can see my screen, does everyone see that?
Yes, we see it.
Okay. So the way it'll work is that if we look at goal here, and if someone was coming in and setting up a couple of goals, one of the options after they've gone ahead and figured out a couple of things for themselves is we would have a generator option, which would then allow you to do something like to say, I want to think of this like a circus person might, or, so it could be some really divergent roles that could say a really skillful facilitator. It could be, so you could get these different perspectives added, but also submit the actual, it would be great if statement and generate items. And the idea would be, looks like I need to select that. It would generate results. And these results right now are they're not prompt engineered, I guess is a new term for ChatGPT people, is you can now be a prompt engineer. But this is basically just getting a response, but showing how when the responses come back and they look like they could actually be helpful, we would just select them and add them into the response over here. So the idea would be you could go out, generate, you could change the statement starter, change the person, And you could also add what's called a temperature, which is how wild or how safe an idea should it be. So ChatGPT can actually allow for you to choose how divergent you want to be with these generated ideas. So that would be the idea, is that we would create specialized prompts for goal, for challenges, for ideas, or for options in ideation. And those prompts would go out and be related to the 3 things that you already generated, but hopefully take it further. So that's what we're working on right now. I guess, was there anything else, Russ and Sarah, that we needed to talk about, or should we open it up for questions?
Yeah, no, thanks so much, Greg. Yeah, we're just excited about the applicability about this. And I can say from groups I've worked with, people are using it after the session to reinforce the creative problem solving learning. So if you can help them incorporate a way for them to walk through the process when you're not there, it seems to be very helpful. So with that, I'll turn it over to Amanda. We're happy to stay for questions. And
Yeah,
thanks very much.
Just going to say this is absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Please give a round of applause to our presenters. I have been monitoring the chat, and there is so much appreciation and amazement and glee over what they've been seeing with this platform. Lots of email addresses in there. Just to make sure nobody missed it, Russ had posted, if anyone would like a 1-month subscription to the Challenge Navigator, drop your email address in the chat and they will subscribe you to it early next week. So those email addresses are coming in there. This also does conclude the conference, but as our presenters have said, if you'd like to stick around for a little bit for questions at the end, I wanted to make sure that those that have to leave at a certain time felt as though they could, and also understood how much we truly appreciate all of you attending today. And do please watch your email for further correspondence from the Center for Applied Imagination. And let's give a big round of applause again to all 4 of our presenters today. Thank you so much for your time and energy and creativity. And let's turn the floor open to open dialogue.
Well, can I just say to Josh, it was so fun to be able to present right with you, because your work is like, we didn't really even know how we were going to get paired. And I love that you led in with ChatGPT, because, that's sort of the secret new thing we've just done with this Challenge Navigator. So it felt like a really great pairing. Thank you for teeing it up.
And I'm going to turn the recording off at this point right now.
That was totally not planned.